Hey guys, this is Victor from Vitagenics, and I'm here today with Ethan Leeds. If you know me, you should know Ethan, of course, because we've already been working together for a while. And we're going to talk about Boo and MLM, and we're probably going to also talk about the PBX touchstone stuff, because I want to focus a little bit on the business. And I really don't know what the hell I'm talking about most of the time if we're going to start talking deep about the MLM stuff. And Ethan is the guy that really made me feel comfortable with these business models, because I've always been adverse to them. But I'm on board just for the product. And I know Ethan is also, and like me, you know, he's a professional nutritionist, healer, etc. So yeah, say hello, Ethan, and let me let you run with that for a little bit.
Okay, so hey guys, so yeah, so as Victor just said, we're both professionals in the natural health space, and some of the products that I recommend, as with Victor, come from MLM companies. So and sometimes I get some resistance to that, not very often, but it does happen. So it'd be great to discuss that. So first of all, the question, why do professionals like me, like Victor, and many others, and doctors, even medical doctors even, why do they promote, if you want to use that word, recommend, whatever, products from MLM companies? And that question is a curious question itself, because there's an underlying assumption that somehow then MLM things must be bad. Like if you even ask that question, there's some assumption there that they're bad. So where does that impression come from? I noticed just recently I got a message about TikTok has now banned MLM being advertised in their space. Which is very interesting. So first of all, it's good to know that the enemies of MLM are the corporations. You need to understand that first. So the big enemies of MLMs, because MLMs tend to be small private companies, okay, which eating a piece of the cake which the corporations want. So you need to understand that first. And one of the questions that I like to ask people who are anti-MLM is, where do you suggest that people buy from? Because nearly everything, if it's not bought through MLM, it's bought through corporations pretty much. There's a few private companies who are not MLM and not corporations, but they're few and far between. So most people that are not buying nutritional products through MLMs are buying it from corporations, which is an interesting fact in itself. But the question is, is there anything wrong with the MLM model? And should we be avoiding it? We certainly, in my opinion, as far as possible, should be avoiding corporations. I
would agree.
buying stuff from Amazon, for example, and a lot of the Amazon supplements are actually fakes. Whatever the label says, ignore it, because a lot of Amazon stuff is actually fake. Same with eBay and so on. So there are some valid concerns about MLM, and I know that Victor's had some of those concerns, and maybe we should touch on that during this. But what is MLM first of all? So MLM is a company that's selling their product through word of mouth, and if somebody recommends, they get paid, and if somebody joins the company through that person that's recommended it, that person gets paid on them as well through multi-levels, so multiple MLM, multiple levels, okay? So, and then you've got almost the same, but slightly different, is affiliate. And affiliate's exactly the same, except it only pays one level, okay? So that's affiliate and MLM, okay? So are they a bad thing? Well, before we get to that, you have to understand why MLMs exist, especially in this space of nutrition. And you need to understand that what the corporations have done to force this situation on us. So basically, what they have done is they have made it illegal for companies to make any claims about what their products do if their products help with disease. Okay, so if your product helps cure cancer, for example, if you found a product tomorrow that cured every cancer in 24 hours, if it was something natural, it would be illegal for you to tell anybody that. That's how crazy the situation is. Okay, you would go to jail for telling people, I found this berry in the jungle of somewhere, and if you take this berry, you're going to be cured of cancer. You'd be in prison. Okay, so what's happened is the corporations have made it illegal to make claims on natural stuff because they want to sell their pharmaceutical stuff. Okay, they want to sell their solution, and they're very, very powerful, and they've lobbied governments and they've created laws. And so we're in a situation where you can't make claims about natural stuff. So if you find some combination of herbs or whatever, and it does something great in the human body, for the most part, most of the stuff it might do, you wouldn't be able to tell anybody. Well, that, as you can imagine, is a major problem for a company with a phenomenal natural product. It's a big problem. You've got this phenomenal product, you're not allowed to tell anybody. You can't create a leaflet with it telling them, you can't create a sign, you certainly can't go on the radio or the TV or whatever. So how do you get that message out to the public so that people can benefit from your product? And yes, so that the company can make money. The company wants to make money with the product. So how do they do that? So the only solution that they can do in the modern world is word of mouth. They can't tell you, but it's very hard for the government at this point, although they're actually working on trying to stop this, but it's very hard for them to stop word of mouth, recommendation, friend to friend, colleague to colleague. Very, very difficult. Although, as you will see on Facebook, they're making great strides in censoring one-on-one conversations now as well. Anyway, leaving that aside, so companies, therefore, with great natural products are in a position where they cannot tell the story about their product, they can't explain what they do without some word of mouth type of system, and which means affiliate or MLM. That's it. That's the two options that they have. Okay, so if you say that a company that does that spreads the word by word of mouth is wrong, you're basically in absolute full agreement with the corporations and the satanic elite and the whole big pharma system. That's what you're saying. And frankly, it's highly ignorant to say that. And we're going to come on why you might say that, because there are some reasons that are valid why you might have a bad taste. That's possible, but it's not the MLM system per se. It's not the company's fault for using a system of recommendation that causes any problems. Okay, so that's the background that we have to understand why MLM exists. And so when someone like me or Victor comes along as a natural health practitioner, what we're interested in is not the vehicle which a company uses, the source of the product uses, whatever. We're not so interested in that. What we're after is the best products. That's all we're interested in. We're trying to help clients to get better health. And so we do a massive research and a massive study, and we're always after the best products. And it's a non-stop researching thing. We're all talking to each other. All the practitioners I know, like, if you find something that helps with this, let me know, because of whatever. So when we find the best product, whatever that might be, it just so happens that a reasonable percentage of the time, that product is from a company that uses word of mouth for the reasons I've just given you. Okay, so
I can give a few examples. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
Yeah, no. So there are companies, for example, Colloidal Silver. There is my absolute favorite device. Actually, I don't even like selling the product. Is a very small company. They don't do an MLM, or I could do an affiliate thing with them, but it's just not worth it in that case because they're too small. So I just champion that as much as possible. If they did have an affiliate model or even an MLM model, it would help me to get it into more hands, actually. Same thing with fermented cod liver oil that I love. I love the company, the owner. I promote them like crazy.
I do too.
But there's no affiliate thing that I do with them. There's no MLM thing I do. There's other companies like Soda Instruments, other devices I love for the electronic and electrical health stuff. But again, they don't have those business models available. So, I champion a lot of different products, and there are others. Of course, now we have like the PBX and the Boost stuff, and they do happen to have that model, and that model is beneficial. So for me, I'm one of those ignorant people, though. I'll give a different example. I think I've mentioned this to you before. One of the things that really turned me off to MLM was how I had seen essential oil companies using them, because their kind of monthly requirements did not support the usage needs of an individual. And so the model contradicted proper wellness uses of the product, in my opinion. In my opinion, in some of the things I saw, it was business first, right? Not wellness first.
I think where MLMs really excel is when it's products that people don't know about. Like essential oils are known about by everybody, and they're sold by companies that are not MLM as well. Lots of companies that are not MLM, and so I don't think that MLMs really are at their best in that situation, because it's not a unique product that needs a storytelling and so on and so on. Now, where there is a bit of an advantage, so I'm a fan of essential oils. I don't promote any particular essential oils, and I just use them a little bit myself. But
I'm the same.
One of the advantages of going to an MLM, so obviously the two big ones are Young Living and doTERRA. But one of the advantages, if I was to buy essential oils from them, if I carefully chose who I bought through, I could buy through someone that might know a lot more than me about essential oils, who would give me the support and help that I wouldn't get if I went to someone like Plant Therapy, which is a great company, or Mountain Rose or something like this, another great non-MLM company. I could buy them from those companies, but they don't give me the support that I could get if I went to one of the MLMs and I went through a knowledgeable health practitioner of some sort, or someone that's very experienced in essential oils, and I could, if I was feeling whatever, I could call them and say, hey, which oils should I use? How do I use them? So in that regard, the MLM has a big advantage, but it doesn't work best with products that are sold by everybody and their dog, which essential oils are. So for me, I've never got involved in an essential oil company.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I actually did sign up with doTERRA years ago under someone I like, but it did not, like I said, it just didn't match my approach to wellness, even though same thing, I like them, but I use them so sparingly. So nowhere in any of my material do you ever see me sharing the fact that I actually did join doTERRA. I never recommended or promoted. I've never sold it, because as you said, it's everywhere, and it's really better for people to get it elsewhere. In that case,
if they don't need the support, or if they're going to go through someone like you, not me, because it's not my area of expertise, aromatherapy. So if someone wants to buy oils, I would say don't come to me.
I'm the same way. I just
for help on that. But yeah, so where people get irritated by MLM companies, and it's, as I say, it's not the structure of the what it is a lot of people, actually, no, before I get to that, let's just say this. So one of the advantages of MLM, I'll come to that, and that kind of will lead into the negative as well. So as a health practitioner, what I've discovered over the years is that when you train people what they need to do for their health, some of the things that they need to do carry expenses. Okay, there's going to be some costs involved. So for example, one of the things that I know we both recommend is that, your water needs to be as good as water as you can possibly get. And that requires, so one of the things I've sold a lot of, but I'm not attached to any company, but I've sold a lot of distillers, hundreds and hundreds of distillers, because I'm a big fan of distillation. So for drinking water. So, but anyway, so distillation or EMF is a problem that sometimes you have to address, and sometimes there's costs with that. Supplements, there are costs involved in making, or even your food, if you're going to encourage, as I do, and I know you do, to people to eat organic rather than non-organic food, that puts the cost up. So some of the decisions, non-chemical versions of makeup for women or personal hygiene products, they're a little bit more cost. So one of the things that I discovered was that some of the people that I was trying to help, often the sickest ones, who were, because they were sick, that often had financial implications, such as they lost their job, or they couldn't work as many hours, or whatever. So their income went down, their needs went up, Okay. And so they're in a situation where they couldn't afford the products and the things that they needed to do in order to get well. And that is a heartbreaking thing when you're trying to help people and you know what all you need to do is this and this, and you know, give it 6 months and you'll be a new person, and they can't afford. And when I started, I was like very tempted to, like, in fact in some cases I did pay for people. I'll pay. But there's a limit. You can't do that for hundreds and hundreds of people, right? So what I realized with many of the companies that I was recommending that were networking MLM companies, that this was an opportunity for the people I was helping to make enough money by just recommending it to a few other people that they could afford their stuff for free, because it was free. It was, or even in some cases they were going to make in some cases a big income on. But my main goal was there to help people. Look, let's make your products for free. Whatever you're buying, whether you're buying from an MLM or you're buying from anywhere, let's cover those costs by you sharing the information you're learning that's helping you with some other people. Because a lot of the time, people that are sick with whatever, fibromyalgia, whatever it might be, they often end up knowing a lot of other people with the same things, autism, whatever. So if they've got an autistic kid and they're doing some stuff that's really helping and changing their kid's life, they probably know a load of other mums that have got autistic children, and it just makes sense that they would share the information that they've learned that's helped them, and that would cover their costs. So that's one of the great things about networking, that it enables that. Now that brings about the downside. Okay, so here's sadly what does happen in many cases in networking. So you end up with people who've had a positive experience with a product, whatever that might be. They've had a life-changing experience or just a great experience, but whatever, they're very passionate about that product. It's done whatever it's done for them or for their loved ones. And they want, so they've now got two motives to share that with other people. They've joined the company that does that product. They've got two motives. The first one, most of the time, despite sometimes appearances, they genuinely want to help other people. That motive is there. But there's another motive, and that is some of them see the potential with the income that they can make. There's huge income potential for those that want it. They see that and they really want to make money. So they've got these two motives going on. They want to help people, and they want to help people and use that vehicle to make money. And I don't see any problem with making money. We all have to make money. But sometimes what then happens is, in their desperation to A, help people, and B, make money, they get very salesy, very pushy. And it's in an unnatural way. And I spend a lot of time teaching the people that I help to make money in this industry. I have to teach them not to sell. And what they're told, typically in most MLM companies, what they're told is, look, all you're doing is the same as normal life. You know, you see a good movie, you recommend it to your friend, but you don't get paid for it. You find a brand of coffee that's great, you recommend it to a friend, you don't get paid for it. And that sounds good, but it's not really true. And here's why: because this is the reality of how it really happens. And I have to get this through people's heads when they get into networking. If I have a bunch of friends come round, at some point, my wife tells me that, usually much too long into the conversation, but at some point I'm going to offer them a coffee. Right, and I say, hey, or a drink, right? Who wants a coffee? I'm a fan of coffee myself, so I'm going to offer a coffee typically. Now, let's say I've got a dozen friends around. If let's pretend for a minute I had a dozen friends, okay, and they've all come around to visit me. Okay, so I offer them a coffee, and let's say half of them say yes and half of them say no. In real life, here's what happens. I make a coffee for the half a dozen that said yes, and I offer the other half a dozen something else. That's real life. In MLM context, here's what happens. You offer them, half a dozen say yes, the other half a dozen say no. Then you tell the half a dozen that said no, hang on a minute, this coffee, you've got to taste it. It's the best coffee ever. It comes from the mountains of the purest. Da, 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 da. You've got to have it. And then they still say no. And then they drive the point. No, seriously, you've got to try it. No, I don't like coffee. What do you mean you don't like coffee? You've never tried this. This coffee doesn't taste like any other coffee you've ever tasted. And it goes on. And that's the MLM version. And it's not a reflection of real life. You would never do that in real life.
Right.
And you shouldn't do it in networking either, but people are doing it. And what that does is it causes resistance. I'm really resistant to being sold to. I'm one of these people. If I go in a store, I do not want a sales assistant jumping on me and saying, would you like help? Or no, go away, leave me alone. Now, if I find something I'm interested in that I need some info on, I'm happy to call them over and then I want help. But I don't want to be jumped on. I want to be left alone until the point when I ask for help. That's me. I don't want, and most people don't want, somebody shoving the best brand of coffee or whatever the heck it might be down my throat. If I say no, then let's finish the conversation there.
Right.
I don't mind you asking me for if I want a coffee. That's fine. But when I say no, respect that no.
Right.
And so that's the problem. So what happens? We get these untrained people in networking who mostly, and I know from the inside, it might not appear this from the outside if someone's being pushy, but I know from the inside, most people involved in this business have a heart to help. They really do. They do. That can be hidden when they're trying to shove it down your throat. It might not feel like that. Okay. But for the most part, their motive is not the problem. It's their actions and the way that they're handling it that's the problem. And so what happens is when people are exposed to this multiple times from networking companies, and sometimes if you get a particular product like Boo, you mentioned Boo, that really explodes, you end up getting 15 different friends all doing that shove it down the throat thing on you for the same thing. And it's like, oh, get away from me,
Right.
kind of thing. And that creates a belief in some people that MLM is bad. And it's not. That's what's going on. In the same way, I don't know if you've ever been and bought something expensive from a garage, like a car, and they've scammed you. Basically, they've sold you a car. Most of us have experienced that at some point, right? So, in fact, garages are pretty famous for being dodgy. You got to be really careful. And mechanics, you take your car to them to be fixed, and they can kind of make up a lot of stuff if they're not honest, right?
You want to know who they are. It's just like everything else, right? You want to make sure you know who you're working with so that they're not less likely to scam you.
Exactly. So if I take my car to a mechanic, right, I'm not very knowledgeable about cars. So I need to do my research to find out if a mechanic is trustworthy. Because I've been stitched up a few times, I don't say mechanics are terrible, never to take your car to a mechanic. That would be ludicrous, right? But what I do say is, like, you've got to be careful about which mechanic you pick. So you need to find, really find one that you've got some good referrals to say that's a trustworthy mechanic, and then you can, okay, now I can take it. So it's a little bit the same with MLMs. The companies are mostly, there's good and bad companies in everything. It's not the companies. Usually if you like a product, you've already established the company's okay, it's got a good product, but it's then who you go through that's going to affect it most. So go through somebody who's not shoving it down your throat, not salesy, and more importantly, understands their product well, understands what it will do, and isn't going to recommend it unless it's right for you.
And doesn't misrepresent the product.
Right. Well, that's critical.
Right. If I came across, because we both know, and I won't name any names, but I've come across people outside of our family in Touchstone selling PBX. If those were the first people I came across, I would have never gotten on board, because I would have been so busy ripping those people apart because they didn't know what they were talking about. And I would have walked away still being too ignorant. Right. So it really does depend on, like you said.
Well, with Boo as an example, there's a lot of misrepresentation going on with Boo. So one of the things I've seen certain individuals do is they are paying people in free bags of Boo for testimonials. And the problem is when you do that, what they're basically saying is if you give us the best testimonial, we'll give you a free bag of boo. Well, the best testimonial translates into embellishment. That's what it translates into. I got to get a free bag of boo with the best testimonial. What can I say to get that free bag of boo? So you start exaggerating. I saw one testimonial of a fungal infection, and boo does help with fungal infections, but it was a toe fungal infection, and it was a before and after. And when I paid close attention, I realized that the before was on the left foot and the after was on the right foot.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, oh, that's,
that's deceptive. Yeah.
Just
Right. So
terrible.
people get we create the wrong people will create the wrong motivations. Yeah. Which is just totally unnecessary. It's just not,
especially because boo really does help with that. You don't need to do that, but somebody was probably offered a free bag of boo with the best or what, I don't know what the background to that testimonial was, but it clearly was a dishonest testimonial. And so sometimes when people get too eager, too keen, they want to prove it, they believe in it, but they haven't got the evidence, so we'll create some evidence to back up whatever it may be. And that happens in all industries. The very worst, by a mile, are big pharma. They misrepresent their products. I mean, we won't get into that because we don't want to get censored, but we all know what we're talking about, right? So they are 100 million times worse than networking companies or the people that are within them. So it happens everywhere, and like anything else, you just have to be a bit discerning. But I'm a massive fan of MLMs because what you are doing when you purchase through an MLM is you're supporting private companies first off, right? Because the corporations are trying to take over the world. Stop supporting Amazon, stop supporting Walmart and pharmacy and all of the others. Stop as far as you can. I know it's impossible to stop I'm using a Windows machine right now to have this conversation. We can't. The world is set up in such a way, they've got such a stranglehold on everything, there's hardly any choices in certain areas.
It's sad, right? It is.
But I did use Linux for some years, but I wasn't really techie enough to properly do it. I'd love to jump back into that boat at some point. But start supporting the private companies. Secondly, you're supporting regular everyday people. Right now, I'm teaching people, and I've been for a few years, I've been teaching people, you have to learn to create an income online from home, because if you have a job, there's coming a time, and it's here already, when you're going to get strings attached to that job where you have to take certain medical procedures, and if you want to keep your job or whatever. I'm hearing it every week, more and more people saying that, but I've been teaching this for years. You have to learn to create an income at home, online, and for me, that's in natural health, because I can offer a lot of value in natural health. But if it's not natural health, there's other things. It's not, there's various areas. But if you can't make an income while you're in your home online, and you don't want to have the strings, you're going to be in big trouble going forward. You have to learn those skills. And so networking, MLM gives that opportunity. For now, who knows if they're going to crash the entire world economy or whatever in the future.
Right. So that brings me to another question, which I think I understand. With the reason why I love Touchstone and I love Boo fulvic acid, they don't put pressure on people. And I don't mean from a personal standpoint, but for example, speaking again about the Boo fulvic acid, so the people can just go and just buy the product from me as if they're buying it from Amazon, right? And that's it. They just buy it and they're done.
Except for with Amazon, they're not going to get any help.
Right, they're not getting any support, right? So, and when they buy it from me though, if they instead actually join, they hit the join now button and they become actually a partner, or whatever Boo calls it, they become a distributor, it costs them $1.
Right.
At least for now, right? I think that offer is going to expire at the end of August or something.
I believe so.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So, but anyway, right now it costs them $1 to become a partner, and there's no obligation for them to do anything. The price of the product, and then
that's another thing. Actually, you brought up a good point. One of the things that people still remember, in the past, many years ago, I mean, some of the big MLMs with Amway and Avon, Tupperware, these kind of things.
Right.
One of the things that they used to do is they used to become we'll use the word distributor, they've all got their own names. To become a distributor, they would basically force you to buy huge amounts of product. I mean, I'm talking $500, $1,000, or like big stuff.
This is my memory.
Right, and that puts a real,
Yes.
a damper on everything. You got to make money, but first of all, you got to spend $1,000 and have all this product that it's going to take you 10 years to use. So I've always been against that. Absolutely wrong. There are still some companies that do that, but the majority don't. Certainly, the two companies you just mentioned don't do that. You don't. In fact, Touchstone, you can actually join the business side of that without ever purchasing anything ever. That's how far they've taken it now. So that is something that some people are still aware of, and that did give a bit of a bad reflection. And I think I think that was reasonable because I think that was bad. But that's all changed now. Not many companies do that anymore. Yeah, but that's from the business.
Yeah, these modern implementations. The touchstone model I really love. I mean, with the PBX and the super green juice, because it's so flexible. I mean, you could be a customer, an affiliate, the VBO. There's no pressure. It's fantastic. And then the Boo fulvic acid business model is a little different. I'm still trying to learn that, but that seems simpler, much easier to get in. I guess less flexibility, but easier because you don't have to really think as much. I guess
I think they're both super simple myself, but
well, but you have a lot more experience, so
honestly, I think that you don't have to know hardly anything. They're very simple. Both of them are very simple. But there's, as you say, from a business point of view, it's not like they used to be. There's nothing in the way of obligations really. It's very, very low obligations.
At least for me, in my ignorant experience, I really do like the business models of Boo and Touchstone, because like I said, they fit my approach of wellness first and not thinking about the business side. And I also, I've written about this many times to some of my clients and in my group. I also do love the fact that I can get people that can't afford it. I was like, oh my God, this is a way for me to help people afford the product. And my own personal sales aren't high enough yet, right? So if I build as my own personal volume builds, that gives me power to assist my clients. I can assist.
Well, that's another thing in networking.
Amazing.
It does. The more empowered we are, as well, the more that we can help other people, whether that be financially. I've got my sons they're multimillionaires, and sometimes people that don't know anything, there's this reaction like multimillionaire, and like there must be bad people or whatever. Anybody with money. But you know what? I know how much money they have to be able to help people and what they do to help people. And they're in a position that most people aren't, that enables them to help so many people and change so many lives. And money is just a tool. And you can do bad with money, you can do good with money. It's like a gun or a knife or anything else. You can use them bad, or you can use them good. And how you get the tool as well. Like, so if you get money unethically, if you're stealing money off people, money, then obviously that's bad, unless you're Robin Hood and you're stealing off the rich to give to the poor. Maybe that, there's maybe an argument. But yeah, so the stronger that you are, the more you have to give, whether that be financially, whether your health and knowledge, you can give wisdom and knowledge to help people, but the more you have personally, the more you can give, if that's what your heart is set to do. And I know that's your heart, it's my heart. I want to help, I want to give, I want to make a difference in people's lives.
I think it helps to foster that entire team attitude. You know, there's the whole thing of creating the tribe, right? And we're sharing wisdom, we're providing moral support, you know, that you just got, it grows. And now you're even able to provide financial support, but not in the way that you're giving people money. It's that you're teaching
people
them.
how to make money.
Yes, you're teaching them how to make it. And those business models are
but it's not just
fantastic.
about making money. The thing that I want to give more, I mean, I love to help people make money, and I get a real kick when they make their first 100 and then 1,000, and you know, and they tell me that which I just made whatever it is, you know,
Right.
I get a kick from that. But the other thing is, I'm one person, you're one person, okay, and you've got a lot of knowledge about things natural health, and you help a lot of people, as do I. But there's a limit to what you can do and how many people you can reach, right?
Exactly.
But I have passed my knowledge on to maybe 1,000 people who are also going on now to use that knowledge and train others.
Right.
So it's not just about helping people financially, but it's also getting the knowledge out there, so that I have people. I've got to be careful what I say, sensitive, but I've had people come to me or message me that had a serious terminal disease. I won't even name any of the diseases I'm talking about, because you know, certain diseases there's really big laws about, but whatever. So they've contacted me and they were told they'd got not long to live or whatever, and now they're totally better. And I find out it's through me, but I didn't know them. So it's my stuff that someone else has given them, and they've done it and they've turned it all around. And they contact me and say, hey, you don't know me, Ethan, but, and they tell me, I was like, whoa, and it just, it's just cool. The best feeling in the world. But that's about giving out, and you know, so in training people with the knowledge, and it's a big part of it. I want to get that knowledge out there. Same as you, I'm just trying to get the knowledge out there, and then for the people that need the help on the finances because they can't afford whatever it, you know, to eat organic food, to get any supplements, whatever it might be, I want to teach them how to do that so that they can afford, because we should be able to. And you're in the States, right? I'm from the UK, although I'm in Brazil, but we should be able to afford to be healthy. It's a disgrace. Yes. It's a disgrace that we can't afford to be healthy. So there's people that tell me they can't afford organic food. They can't.
Yeah, it's such a sad, it's an unbelievable thing. It's just crazy.
Dreadful.
Yeah, it's crazy what's going on.
In the US, people in the US telling me that. People in the UK telling me that. Some of the richest countries in the world, and bad food has become so cheap, and good food has become relatively expensive, and and so that only the wealthy can afford to eat healthy.
Right, it's crazy, you know. But it's still more cost effective to spend the money on the good food, because it
is actually, but that's a difficult lesson.
Right, it's hard for people to understand.
It is hard for people to understand, and part of that comes down to, and what actually as we're talking about Boo, one of the things that I see with Boo quite regularly is people saying that their cravings have gone and that they're eating less. And part of the whole craving thing is because you're nutritionally deficient, and you're eating nutritionally deficient food, and you can't get enough of it. So you want more and more and more.
And you're not absorbing.
Although it might be cheap, you're eating a hell of a lot of it. And when you actually have healthy food, you don't need anywhere near as much.
Right. I think, you know, like that's one of the things also with the super green juice from Touchstone. Now, I used to be, and I still am actually, very much against all these crazy green powder juices or any kind of like meal replacement, because most of them are filled with garbage. They're actually doing more harm than good. But the super green juice is insane. I mean, that is all 100% organic. And the way it's processed, it's not, you know, they don't heat it above 118 degrees. Harvested from nutrient dense stuff. I mean, and now that's an easy meal replacement. So it looks expensive, but the reality is it can save you so much money.
It's 33 odd servings of organic fruit and veggies for a couple of dollars. That's just crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Right.
And for prepping minded people, you can get a whole pile of them. They've got a long shelf life, because there's a good chance, in many people's opinion, mine included, there may be some serious difficulties getting fruit and veggies
Right.
going forward in the near future. So
Right.
it's a great idea to have some super concentrated version in a powder.
Right.
For filling purposes, you can maybe rice or something like that. That also has a long preservation life. You can get big bags of rice. If you've got rice and super greens, that is going a long way to providing a
Yes.
satisfying meal from the point of view of filling. I'm not saying it'll
Yes.
taste great,
But
but satisfying from the point of view of filling and
yeah, yeah,
providing.
and super nutritious. You know, it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's sad because you already see there are many companies that are acting on the fear of this and selling these, you know, these sets. You better get 6 months of food. But yeah, right. There's really nothing better than super green juice for that. They're just, you know.
Much better, cheaper.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
they're gonna get, all the vitamins, all the minerals, plus lots of enzymes and probiotics and a whole pile of, stuff probably we haven't even found yet in those 44 superfoods. There's chemicals that we don't
oh,
even know
right.
about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, you know, it's interesting too, because I actually wanted to do a separate video to talk about the synergy between boo fulvic acid and the super green juice and the PBX and
One of the questions I get asked a lot on
many
the
other
Boo and the
things.
Super Greens, people on Boo say to me, do I, should I do Super Greens as well? Or is it, I don't need it because I'm on Boo? And my basic response to that is, do you need to eat healthy while you're on Boo? Or can you forget healthy eating now?
Right.
Like, yeah, Boo is phenomenal, but it's not everything. You just don't
Right.
want
Right.
just Boo and now we can forget everything else.
Right.
There's no
Exactly. Exactly. You know, I love the synergy because actually it's fantastic for just increasing absorption. So it's going to help people, especially, right, you know, like I tend to work with people that are extremely
digestive issues.
unwell, especially with the digestive issues.
Yeah.
And like I love super green juice fermented in the kefir. This is an amazing
Yeah.
combination. No, it doesn't taste that bad, really. It doesn't taste.
Listen, kefir tastes that bad on its own.
I
So,
I can't drink kefir on its own. I hate the taste of it.
oh, really? It improves the taste of kefir, does it?
Yes, it's you put a banana and you put
But
super
it's the
green juice.
color. Is that
Yes,
I've got a psychological problem with
yes,
kefir. I know
yes.
it's
It doesn't
brilliant.
look
I know
nice.
it's wonderful, but I have a psychological
Right.
problem partly because of the
Yeah.
taste. Make that green, and now I don't know. I don't know if
Right. No, I understand.
deal with
I feel the same way.
that.
But it is good. But in any case, so super green juice is exceptionally synergistic with kefir, and then
Mhm,
also with the fulvic acid with the boo, because boo is just increasing the absorption of all these nutrients. So
mhm.
you're going to
Yeah.
get more. You're going to get more absorbed. If you weren't getting 100%, you're going to get closer to that. You're going to get better cellular penetration, and on and on and on. You're getting metabolites, you know, additional metabolites from the boo. So there's a lot of synergy. I mentioned this actually. I have a video I talk about it. I mean, there's synergy between the boo fulvic acid and everything else in my protocol.
Yeah.
And so it's really
I mean, that's
nice.
what we do, isn't it? We find because what we're seeking to do is we're seeking why is somebody sick? They're sick because their
Right.
body is out of balance, right? That's what's happening. It's out of balance. Why is it out of balance? Usually because of toxicity. So toxins
Right.
have come in, thrown the balance out, maybe they've thrown the hormones out, maybe sugar imbalances, maybe pH imbalances. There's a lot of oxidation, a lot of inflammation. So what we're seeking to do is we're seeking to rebalance. And so we look for products that are going to do specific things and then work together. And so one of the things Boo
Right.
does is it raises oxygen levels. Well, that is a really big deal. Just that, raising oxygen levels, big deal right there.
Yes.
Providing the super greens and Boo both contribute with this, providing all the minerals. So everybody is minerally deficient, and they're all taking mineral supplements, most of which are actually harmful,
Right.
and also have only got not all of the minerals. If they have got all of the minerals, it's usually in a salt form, which is okay for some minerals, but a lot of minerals you don't want them in that form.
Right.
So people they're deficient, and if they are doing something about it, they're doing it with the wrong supplements. They're doing it with the
Right.
wrong type of minerals. So Boo Super Greens, best ever way of getting all your minerals in a form that your body can readily assimilate and utilize. So yeah, I love the combination. PBX again is doing working symbiotically with them, doing a completely different job in a completely different way, but it's getting to the root of the toxin problem, and it's removing the toxins.
Yes.
Which both of the greens and we both help with in their own way.
Right.
Super Greens has got a lot of great herbs that support the detox pathways, that support the kidneys, the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, the small, large intestines, and so on. So greens do that. Boo does an awful lot of amazing stuff in the gut, and also helps with detox, binding heavy metals.
It does some chelation.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, it's just about getting the right things working together in the right way and changing the balance in your body. And when you do that, sometimes it can be uncomfortable when the balance starts to shift.
oh yeah. You've seen the
Yeah,
crazy stories in my group.
I've seen one or two. Yeah.
No, I have all kinds of insane, because again, I tend to deal with extremely toxic people, but you know what? They get through it, and then they end up being better. And I often, I mean, and not that I want to make them feel bad, but I often kind of laugh at people, or I congratulate them when they tell me their horror stories because they had some crazy detox thing. And then it's just a matter of fine tuning, their own personal protocol, whether it has to do with just dosage or bringing in something else. And then they get through it. And then, of course, they end up, greatly improving their health in the long term. But yeah, sometimes there's some pretty funny detox stories. I've got some good photos and stuff.
Funny ones
But
usually involve parasites.
yeah, yes, yeah. And I can imagine. I mean, I'm sure you've seen like endless crazy stories.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, just lots of good stuff. Yeah, so I'm glad that we got to talk about kind of the business side, because I talk about it sometimes, but I don't really have the authority or the knowledge or even the patience to dig in. And I know you have a lot of experience on it.
Yeah.
And
So
what's
if
it?
there is anybody that you're helping that watches this video that's struggling financially to cover their stuff, sometimes people don't want to say that. They don't want to admit, I literally broke. In fact, I can't even talk about it. But I had somebody die because they couldn't afford.
Oh, that's too sad.
They didn't tell me. I found out afterwards.
Oh, I'm so sorry about
So
that.
don't suffer if you can't afford it. There are ways that we can show you how to, just by helping people with the knowledge that you're learning, you can easily create enough income to cover your costs.
Right.
You just can. So
And I should mention too, Ethan, so again, most people, if they know me, they should realize that you and I we actually work together. We're on the same team, so to say, within the Touchstone and within Boo. And of course, just independently, we work together. And so if any of my people, so to say, that want to get deeper into the business side, contact Ethan directly, because Ethan has always offered to
talk to me.
train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my thing, helping people
Yeah.
with that. So you would need to make sure you told me that you came via Victor. I want to know that if you do come via Victor.
Right.
But yeah, I'm happy to help anybody to to learn how to do that, how to create some income so that they can cover their costs, because it's terrible when you have to make choices between two or three things that all you
Yes.
need, and you have to say, I can only afford one of them.
Right.
Especially when we're talking serious disease. It really is heartbreaking. I don't want anyone being in that position.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
It is tough, but we
or
do
if
have
you've
some
come
fun.
through the other side and you've done the journey and now you're passionate about, hey, I could help other people and make an income. That's kind of the
Yes.
exciting thing for me, is when somebody's been through the journey and then certain people, not everybody, it should be everybody in my opinion, but it's not, but certain people are, I want to tell the world about how to turn this
Right.
around, and those people that want to do that will help train you how to do that, and you can make an income from it as well, and you don't have to charge the people you're helping anything.
Right. Right. Yeah. So it's nice. We just keep spreading the seeds together, and the money just comes, as an after effect, as a side effect. The money
Yeah.
is just there. Of course, ironically, I hate the whole sales heavy stuff. But if I had a few more sales people as clients, it would help me get the word out more, because I don't do enough.
Yeah,
And
it's
what's
about getting
funny,
the message out. Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
That's
it's so funny because I'm so afraid, or I'm just very adverse to the sales side, which I shouldn't be, because so many of even my clients, they don't realize that I'm selling PBX, or I'm selling Boo, or that I have courses, or that I have a live Q&A, et cetera. They don't even
yeah.
realize it because
There,
I
there- there's
don't.
there's a fear among some people. I've got over that. I don't have that anymore. But and it's because probably usually it's when you've been missold to, and
Yes,
you
yeah,
and then you sort of like identify with that and like thinking, is that how I'm going to be perceived? And so you
right,
desperately don't want to be, because that's not you. So that's not me. I don't want to be. So you then become adverse to sales. But ultimately, really, we're all selling all the time. When we if
right,
you're married and you've got a wife or a husband, you did some selling,
yeah,
you know, to get into that place. If you want to go to this movie and your partner wants to go to that movie and you end up going to your movie, you did some selling.
right,
If you don't want to do the dishes and they want you to do the dishes and you end up not doing it, you did some selling, right?
right,
So selling's a little bit broader than people thinking. It's not all just this shove it down your throat type of pressure
right,
sales. We
right,
all hate, we all hate that.
right. As long
Um,
as you're following, right, as long as we're following our passion and we're not doing something just for the money. That's the
well,
thing.
well,
I just can't get
even
into
that
the.
I would not necessarily agree with, because although that's not me, right? Most people go to a job just for the money.
Yeah, well, see, I don't think they should, but that's
But, well,
right.
no,
That's
that's
me.
not ideal. I would hate
Right.
that
But
lifestyle.
most
I
have no
have done
choice.
it. I
Right.
have done
Right.
jobs just for the money.
Right. I understand.
Right. So there's nothing wrong with working just for the money. So here's how you know if you would do it just for the money. Is what you're doing something, if you didn't get any money at all for it, would you stop doing it? Now, I can
No,
answer that
I
question
am
because
doing
I
most
did
of it for
what I'm
free.
doing now. I did it many years ago, full time, for 18 months with no money. Just because, well, it doesn't matter what, I don't go into the details, but I did it because my passion, I want to do that.
Right.
So most people, whatever they do for a living, most people wouldn't do it if nobody paid them. Right. So
Oh,
they're
right.
doing it just for the money. And that's okay. It's not ideal, but it's okay. We all need a certain amount of money to survive, but it's much better if you find something that you love to do, that you
Right.
kind of would do anyway, and manage to get paid for that. And that's what we both do, right? We're doing what we love, our
Right.
passion, helping people, and we get paid. And what I love is I get paid by companies, so I don't have to charge anybody that I help anything.
Yeah, that's another nice thing. So it does enable me, if I want to be able to continue giving my free time.
Right.
And so these business models enable me to do that more,
Yeah, they do.
because it's a lot of people, they can't afford the consultations. And
Yeah.
if I allow myself to just take the consultations from the rich, I'll have no
Right.
time to help the poor. Right. So
Right.
I want to make money too. Right. And look,
You've
I'm
got to live
in,
as well. Right. Exactly.
yeah, yeah, right. I mean, but yeah, I mean, this kind of business model, this networking model, when we're all kind of working together, it just kind of helps to spread the wealth, and then it makes it so we can all give more time to supporting each other. It's quite nice. Yeah,
I
it's
love
good.
it. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's
And
quite
I
nice.
hope that anybody that's, I mean, this is a pretty long video, but anybody that's watched this
Yeah,
video all the way through, or at least
yeah,
I hope that they have a little bit of a better understanding of networking and where it falls into place with everything else that's going on. And I would like to think that, following what we've said, you might, if you're a negative to networking, I'd like to think that maybe you've just moved your position a bit, be a little bit more positive, and ideally support networking companies before you would a corporation. So go to a networking community before Amazon, before
Right.
you know,
Right.
all the stores and what have you.
Yeah, that's the whole idea, like buy local, buy small. You know, I always talk, don't go to the supermarkets, go to a farmer. We'll look at MLM the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we better cut this video down, otherwise no one will get to the end. And I'll just say, I want to encourage people, if those products are for them, and of course they know I like, you know, like the PBX, the super green juice, the the Boo fulvic acid. I would encourage them not only to buy the product, but sign up as a partner for the Boo fulvic acid, or even sign up as an affiliate or a VBO for the PBX super green juice stuff. It really doesn't have to cost that much. Actually, there are no
Right. If
obligations.
you're interested, just have a chat and find out.
Yeah,
Just
right.
chat and
Right.
find out.
Contact me, contact Ethan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
All right,
sure.
cool.
I'm saving up right now. So see if I'm trying to afford a logo like yours on my video
Oh.
here. I haven't managed to get there yet.
Well, you've got, you know, I mean, you're in the tropics. You actually have, you know, you got a nice real plant in the background. You know, you're in a good environment.
Yeah, but I haven't got. Actually, I have, but it's on my software. We're using your software. That's the problem. It's mine. I'd have my little thing there.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. I should have put my, normally I do this kind of crazy stuff,
Yeah,
the video background, but you know,
just showing off.
yeah, I'm just showing off now. But you know, the people that know me, they see this anyway. But yeah, so thank you. Thanks a lot, Ethan, for making the time to go through this. And yeah, we'll do, maybe we'll do another short video about the Boo fulvic acid. And I want to talk about some synergistic things a little bit more, maybe if we get some time. Although we already kind of covered it. So let's see what happens. So yeah, let me just say goodbye, everybody. And then I'm going to stop this recording. And we both hope to see you guys. And
Bye
we hope
bye.
we answered your questions. Ciao.